Hey everyone, Temporal here, and for this session we are reviewing a Silver Sigma on console. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, as that really does help me out quite a bit, lets me do more of this. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what my rates look like, all that good stuff, as well as the promos, events, whatever's coming up. Okay, so we have a D.Va as our tank partner. This is fine. You can hold here if you want. This is an important spot. This is weird. I wouldn't expect you to go this far. Like, I can pretty much guarantee you that someone will come to challenge you here, so I wouldn't expose yourself this far. I'd play more here where you can use cover options, here where you can use cover options, and if they do happen to show up there and not down there, then you can peek out, etc. But this is a good spot, especially if your D.Va is going this way. This is what we're looking to do. Please don't drift forward. I'd go looking this way, I really would.
I found you.
And you haven't checked at all for are they coming through this way, which is another option. So just a little more awareness. We don't actually want to be here. We want to make sure we're taking a different angle. And our D.Va is helping us by taking this angle over here, but we were actually pretty happy with this angle. Shoot down here, shoot down here, shoot down here, shoot down here. This is this is kind of more in the open, etc. We didn't need this. Let's continue.
Activating the barrier.
Not a great rock. Pull back your shield. Pull back your barrier. Pull back your barrier. Good. See, again, I didn't want them to be able to come through here. I wanted you to actually push them from here, not actually push in, but just spam them down this angle. So as they were here, they were getting pelted in the side of the head. And if they pushed into you, you could potentially back off, but they were going to be mighty uncomfortable if they had to deal with the D.Va here and you here. Now you've kind of already let them in without having spammed them as they were walking up here. So they kind of got in for cheap to a pretty good position. Pull back your shield. Pull back your barrier. Okay, you strafe your barrier. Pull it back, please. All of this is time that your barrier could be recovering during. It's not doing you any good. You don't need it there. Someone could accidentally break it, and then you couldn't deploy it again until it healed a bit. Like, please recall your barrier. You can't just forget about this. Hey, Blah. Hey, Manny. Again, I don't like you just being in the open here. You actually, as Sigma, want to have cover that you can use. Poke, cover, poke, cover. You sort of have a reload animation as he like transfers orbs from his offhand to his shooting hand, and you want to be behind cover during those moments.
Barrier in place. I found you.
Were you going to recall that? No, you were going to let it break. You don't want to do that. You do not want to just let people break your barrier. Your barrier is not for long-term deployment. It's not like a shield. It's I'm specifically throwing this out because I'm worried that someone's going to throw a hook at me. Oh, they didn't throw the hook? Let me recall it. Or, oh, I'm back behind cover? Let me recall it. I'm deploying my barrier because I'm worried that they're going to throw a flashbang at me. I'm worried that they're going to throw a nade at me. It is not a general purpose. Let me just put this out here and let it block off an angle. Sometimes you use it in small windows for that type of situation because it's your best option, but that is not your default use for it. Yes, this is Silver Console. Okay. So I don't really like that you're sort of stuck here. See how uncomfortable this feels when you're all squished here and these guys are starting to do a good job? Like, let's pretend that they deleted Junkrat. You'd have to deal with D.Va shooting you from this way. You'd have to deal with Hog shooting you from this way. It's uncomfortable to be sort of bunched between these guys here. You instead want to have them bunched and have them have to push into the concave. You guys are basically in a concave. It's uncomfortable. You don't know where to shoot. If you shoot at them, you get shot from there. If you shoot at them, you get shot from there. And you can be shot in both directions, but you can only shoot in one at a time as a person. So we want the concave, not vice versa. Okay, recall the shield. Recall the shield. If I'm here, I can shoot at your shield. I can just for free value shoot at your shield, but you can't shoot at me. You don't want this. You don't want these situations where your shield is available for other people to shoot at, but isn't actually protecting you from those other people. You would want it more shallow. And you also just don't need it deployed right now. Pull it back. It's not doing any good. You're just letting the coalescence shoot through your shield, and it's not doing any good. Please. Please. Good rock.
An enemy returns.
No. No. Not okay. This isn't doing anything. Recall it. Let it recover. Start, get to a point where you'll be able to deploy it again if you want to. Ugh. Good shift. Sorry, it's not shift. Good grasp. Mei's not a great target for this because unless you know she doesn't have ice block, which you might, I wasn't paying attention. Okay. She's going to ice block. That's going to be unfortunate. It'll be close, but we'll see. Unless you know she doesn't have ice block, she's likely going to ice block, and then you didn't get the elimination. You want squishier, immobile targets. McCree can be a better target as long as you don't get close to him and get flashed. You can't really stick Mercies in it. So of your options, McCree would have been your best here. D.Va's okay, not as good as McCree, but you try and throw it over here, that would have been your best bet. Okay. Wow. Yeah. So we'll just call that target selection. We could go a little bit in adult timing, but that was more a target selection issue. Mei's not out of ice block though, or Mei is now out of ice block. You generally, after someone uses an invulnerability cooldown, want to go, hey, can I swap back to them? Like shooting at this D.Va when the Mei was gone in ice block was reasonable, but you pretty quickly want to switch back to her because as soon as her ice block is done, she's vulnerable. She is potentially out of position where she ice blocks. She now no longer has that invulnerability cooldown. You want to, if you can, make sure you eliminate her before she gets that back, if there's a window to do so. And there was definitely a window for you to switch back to her rather than keep shooting at the D.Va or go over here. The feng shui, I love it.
Activating the barrier.
Okay. Cool. Gonna pull back your shield. Oh, look, you can't redeploy your shield because you never pulled it back. And you don't have shift. Fortunately, you hit those shots, but that could have been bad.
I'm ready to rally.
What are you blocking? Do you care if Mercy shoots you a couple times with her pistol? That's a trick question. The answer is no. You have this health. This health recovers if you don't take damage for 3 seconds. It starts to recover. You can shoot at this Mercy. You don't care if this Mercy shoots back at you. A, she's alone, and you mostly know that. B, you've got teammates with you, so you can get healing if it happens. C, like it's a Mercy. It's not really scary to your health pool, etc. Especially while you have this available. Like, yes, you could go, no, I'm going to absorb a little bit on my barrier and then put my barrier back to let my barrier start recovering because I'm preserving barrier health, but you really don't want to activate the cooldown that's necessary on that anymore. That used to be a thing. You don't want to do that now that you have the barrier's cooldown to worry about, etc. So just take these on the chin, like the tank that you are, at least while you've still got shield health, like shield health, not barrier health, and then shoot her, etc. There's absolutely no reason for you to deploy this later. If someone rounds the corner that's scary, like, oh, I don't know, maybe Hog rounds the corner. Yeah, you could immediately deploy your barrier in case he opens with a hook, etc., and that would be fine. But we don't need it for just the Mercy here. We shouldn't use it for the Mercy. There's opportunity cost because now we can't deploy it if a Hog rounds the corner, round, say, this corner. I know that's not going to happen, but it's an example. Pull it back! Pull it back! I'm so sad. Come on, let me have my mouse. Okay. Here we are. Here's our barrier out, not doing us a ton of good. We could recall our barrier. We could.
Unstable.
We could recall that barrier. It's even telling us to recall the barrier. If we'd recalled the barrier... Oh, look, now that you've recalled it, you've activated your 2.5 second deploy time. If you'd recalled it earlier, even with 91 HP, you could block this whole self-destruct, because that's how it works. And by this whole self-destruct, I mean the entirety of the damage in the direction your barrier goes. It wouldn't, like, blanket the entire self-destruct, but it would block your direction. That would be pretty good. It's almost like that's one of those things we want to have barrier available for.
That music, it's playing again. Observe the barrier.
Okay. So we have some atrocious barrier use. We have some not so good angle control. Those are things that we're looking at so far.
I'm under fire.
I found you.
Activating the barrier.
Okay, I don't necessarily mind the barrier right as you round a corner. You know, it could be scary. There could be stuff here, etc. The truth, you're only seeing a Lucio, but hey. Wait for it. I have to imagine you're deploying that thinking it helps your Doomfist too. It's generally not worth, because you can't be shooting while you're pushing your barrier further like that. You notice, like, while you're holding out your left hand pushing the barrier, you can't go pew pew, pew pew until you're done pushing the barrier. So you don't want to far deploy it unless there's some specific purpose in far deploying it. Sometimes the purpose in far deploying it is, hey, there's someone up here on high ground, and that's annoying, so I'm going to far deploy my barrier to block out here, because that actually blocks out all of their sightline, etc. Whereas if I deploy the barrier shallowly here, they can go, okay, well, I can't shoot you anymore, but I can shoot your buddy over there, etc. But in this type of situation, this far deploy just took down from your active time. It made your barrier more vulnerable. Now Hog, if he wanted, could shoot your barrier from here without you being able to shoot him, and that's good for him. That's not what he's going to do. He's going to round the corner, hook you, etc. But hey. How do I know these things? That was an early shift. Why are you walking closer to him? He's Reaper. He gets more damage on you as you get closer to him. He has shotguns. They have spread. Like, you want to kite him a little. You're done.
The equations were correct. The problem must lie elsewhere.
Enemy turret ahead.
Okay, so that's a Hog rounding the corner. So if you deployed your barrier minimum distance, I wouldn't at all be upset. that's not minimum distance. So it's eating into time that you could be left clicking, and it's also going to mean that they're going to get to walk through it sooner, which is unfortunate, but it's something. Okay. And now you're boned because the hog is through the barrier, so you can't shift to protect your life because you'll get hooked if you shift, and you can't rock either. Like, you're kind of boned. That shouldn't have worked. You should have been hooked, but hey. You shifted while your diva was matrixing. That's mostly a coordination issue. You guys basically cancel out. You guys basically, no, I think you absolutely. You guys cancel out the same types of damage with these two abilities, so you really don't want to be using them at the same time. I get it. You probably didn't know your diva was DMing. Throw your shots. Don't peek in deep. You went in too deep here. It's just peek through my shots, close. Peek through my shots, close. If you're peeking in, it's because you want a touch point for just a moment to activate the lingering contest.
My barrier is destroyed.
And you kind of needed to not be going for the tank here. If you were going to actually in any way have any prayer of doing anything meaningful here, it was going to be, hey, let me try to eliminate the Moira while they're not paying attention to me. But, hey. At least you got them back. And she didn't reset? Oh, that's nice.
Playing again.
She definitely had time to reset for a mech there, but hey. Oh, this is sub-diamond, so people care about performance-based SR. Oh, that does stupid things to the game.
Barrier in place.
That was a little scary, but okay.
Barrier's about to break.
Don't shift. You have DM over you. Don't shift. Now you could shift. You could push in with shift if you wanted. Be nice if you'd recalled this barrier a good 2 seconds ago, but hey. Take the angle. Take the angle. This would be so much more powerful. Like, you've had so much time by now to have gone over here and be like, hey, I can shoot you from here. My team can shoot you from here. What are you guys going to do? You being here and shooting at them makes them so uncomfortable, makes them have to react to you a bit, and you can hold your position with your bear, with your shift pretty well, etc. It does so much more to let your team get in. You don't want to push in to let your team get in. You want to take an angle to relieve pressure to let your team get in. I promise. I promise. Please don't ult. You don't want to fire those shots while he's invulnerable. You actually have a meaningful reload to your shot there. That's he can cancel your shift after he sees you miss his shots and actually punish you pretty hard. He's not going to because he has like 0 health, but generally speaking, you don't want to shoot at him when he's Wraith like that, hoping that he's going to unwraith. You actually want to see him unwraith or hear it. This was obviously a bounce shot. Like, this 100% was a bounce shot off of this to hit the Reaper. You would have gotten the Reaper. You're gonna rock it or no? Why are we meleeing it? And why do I not have any frames? You just forgot you had rock. Yeah, you wanted to rock while your diva was DMing. You were a little late on pulling out this rock. Or if you missed that window, you needed to shift after your diva was out of DM. But hey, he just sort of looked up, so that was a gift. Don't shoot him while he's still wraithed. Good shift.
Experiment is ready.
Okay, please take an off angle this time. I thought so too. This isn't great, but I'll live.
Enemy territory.
I mean, I think it's still over here. It has been for a good, minute or so. I exaggerate, but, a good 20 seconds. 40%. He just forgot he had it, but I've harped on that so much already that, meh.
Understood.
My barrier is destroyed.
Okay.
Observe the barrier.
You know what you did wrong there. Yeah. So, a couple issues with this. Who do you even want? Do you want the Diva? Diva's not a great target, but it's okay. At least you can reliably get her. Do you want the Echo? I mean, Echo can fly. Usually you won't get Echo. She'll get out, but she's low enough health that you might luck out. Yeah.
You shall return.
Okay.
Allow me to repair the damage.
An unexpected but not unwelcome development.
I'm ready to initiate self-destruct.
Please take angles. Please take angles. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Are we gonna go a different way than our team? With good timing? Yeah, bait their attention. I don't know why your Junkrat used that tire so early. But it worked. They're gone. They don't have reses. Don't peek yet. Don't peek yet. Your team is back here. You're right here. You are way closer to the action than your team is. Give them like 2 seconds. Like literally 2 seconds before you go in. If you go in, that gives them a chance to trade one back while you 1v4. Don't do that. No! 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 Bad Sigma. Bad. Your team had won this match, and you just gave the opposing team a way back in by not understanding, as a tank, what proper initiation timing looked like. As a tank, you are the most responsible role for understanding what good engagement timing looks like. This was not good engagement timing. Your junk ulted early. Your junk ulted early, totally. But it got value, it worked, it got 2 eliminations. They didn't have a Mercy that could res it, so those were 2 on the board permanent eliminations. If your team is here, and they're not, a bunch of heavy poke heroes that can do a lot from here, like a Hanzo, a McCree, Widow, etc., they're not in yet. They need to be like here. Once they're here, the other team is really worried about them, really threatened by them, etc. They're also pretty darn threatened by you right here. So if you're here, and your team is back here, and the enemy team knows it, well, they're going to deal with you first, because you're way more threatening. You can't let them have that option. You have to go when your team is here, when your team is like committed or a moment from being committed, so that they have a, oh shoot, these guys are on top of us, and this is here. I really like that you're off angling from your team, but this engagement timing is so, so bad. And just let them turn this 6v4 into a 5v4. That's bad. That's really bad.
Enemy turret's not gonna bother us anymore.
Haven't we done this before?
I'm on fire.
Okay, so your team won without you, is what happened here. Okay. It's unfortunate. Let's go here. So, it's really hard hard for me to not talk about engagement timing when you're a tank. We talked about engagement timing. That's it. The two bigger deals for you, though, are going to be what I first want you to work on, and I want you to work on this. I want you to think about this with like 5 to 15% of your brain power while you're playing your next few games, your next dozen games, whatever it takes, until it's sort of part of your autopilot, to recall your shield when you're not using it, and to deploy your shield, you know, when you round a corner, perhaps, when you're afraid of a Roadhog hook, perhaps, when you're afraid of a flashbang, a sleep dart, etc. Sometimes you can go, hey, I'm going to absorb a little generic damage, there's a Zen right click, stuff like that. You can do that, but you're not going to leave your shield out, and you're mostly going to deploy it with a purpose, and as soon as it's fulfilled that purpose, you're going to recall it. That's what I want you to do. If you just start recalling your shield when you're not getting any very good value out of it anymore, that's going to be like easy. It's going to help you a lot. Please do that. Please do that. The other thing I'm going to say is I want you to always, almost always, be taking off angles. This theoretically was good. Your timing was just too early. But I want this all the time. If your whole team is pushing here, I don't want you here. If your whole team is pushing here, I want you here. If your whole team is pushing here, I want you here. And I want you to do something similar to that every time. Like, if you guys have point control and your team is going, hey, I'm battling from here, etc., like we're battling from here, I want you going, hey, I'm battling from here. Like if your team is here, I want you battling from here. I always want you on the off angle. You, even alone as Sigma, are really, really hard to remove, and you relieve more pressure from your team by attacking from a different direction than your team does. It's really good. You tank more for them by relieving pressure by being in a different direction and making the enemy have to look at you as opposed to your team, or look at your team and therefore not look at you, so you get to do a ton. You do more tanking, we'll call it, by doing that than you do by being with your team. So please, take your off angles like you did here, but with better timing, and don't just forget about your shield. You can't have like 30 seconds of your shield just deployed at 200 HP here. Remember that after you recall it, you can't use it for 2.5 seconds, so you need to recall it so that you have it to use, and you need to recall it so it doesn't get destroyed, and you need to recall it so it has time to regen health. All that stuff. Okay. I hope that helps. Please work on those one at a time. Those will help you out. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, as it really does help me out. Signals to YouTube to keep pushing out the video to new audiences, all sorts of good stuff like that. It really helps me grow. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what my rates look like, see what sort of events, promos we have coming up, all sorts of cool stuff like that. And I think that's going to do it for this one. Thanks, guys. Temporal out.